He's going to burst onto the scene. And also Kim in San Diego, simply because with Tatis out, he's going to play.
Right.
And he's going to have an opportunity to show what he can do. And listen, there's some young guys that may not start the season up, but you get Cruz in Pittsburgh that could certainly become something.
Next, that was exactly what I was going to say. He got sent down today, probably so they can play with the service time BS that they're going to do, but he'll probably be back up in May. And, somebody that we didn't mention later on, I think I don't know. Did Gino keep Falafel?
He did. He kept both LeMahieu and Falafel.
Okay, so Falafel, these guys going to steal bases for you. He's going to hit for average. Not a lot of power, but, somebody
he's
in the
going to be in a
rounds,
lineup where they're going to score runs, and he's going to score runs.
Right. He scores runs. That means everybody scores runs.
And if they, by the grace of God, he plays a little catcher like he's done in the past, he becomes a very valuable player.
Imagine that. Now let's turn our attention to third base again. This is another stacked position. But, some of the typical ones for you. You know what? Jose Ramirez scares me. Yes, he's got all the 5 tools, but I think maybe because the one year I picked him early, he sucked. So
he's a very talented guy. But I get what you're saying. I mean, listen, he's the best one. Him and Devers seem to be the consensus top 2 third basemen, right?
Right.
And then you look at guys like Chris Bryant signing the big contract in Colorado. How does he do? Machado is right there. Rendon hits. So you have that's my top 5 anyway.
You know what? I got. I would go with Jose. I would go with Devers. I go with Machado. I would go with Austin Riley. He had a phenomenal year last year.
He had a very good year. Hit 30 home. He's a guy. He's a 30 home run guy.
Right.
Even Donaldson's a guy that does that.
And based on where he's going, I think Chris Bryant is in the top 10. But let me see. I think I'm going to I'll put Rendon in there in the top 5, in the number 5 spot. But he's got to stay healthy.
Nope, I agree with you. Bregman, also another great player. Justin Turner does nothing but hit. And Donaldson will be good. You figure Chapman bounces back in Toronto, which is a hitter's park.
Right.
And you have, again, we talked about Riley. You talk about Donaldson. And we haven't mentioned Nolan Arenado yet. Another guy that could hit 30, 35 home runs,
Yeah, he's in my next 5, my 6 to 10. But somebody you got to wonder, because everybody was so high on him, and now everybody's kind of like, you're going to show me something, and that's Yohan Moncada from the White Sox.
Yeah, he was. It's funny because every year you get those guys that
the darlings
that's going to be just amazing, and Jurickson Profar a few years ago, Yohan Moncada.
Mm-hmm.
You get these guys. Who's the guy that had the spousal abuse thing that was on Oakland? That was a Cub, Addison Russell.
Okay.
Yeah. You get these guys that I can't misses, and they miss.
Right. And now here's something else. Look out for. I don't know if he's hurt or whatever. But they've got him very low here. But Josh Jung of the Rangers, late if you want to stash him away. Somebody to look out for. And don't forget the ever tricky Jonathan Villar if you're looking for stolen bases.
No, he certainly helps you out. Again, you mentioned Torkelson before, another guy that can really help you out there. Alex Baum is a guy that's always intriguing a little bit.
Well, he doesn't intrigue me because he hit like crap last year, and he scares me. And
Eugenio Suarez, how many home runs does he lose going from Cincinnati to Seattle? But it's not like he had a lot of cheap homers. There were a lot of no doubters on there.
Right.
And the kid Arias in Minnesota also a guy to look out for. He's not going to give you a lot of pop, but he's going to hit for average. He's going to, he'll help you with your on base percentage type stuff.
And you keep an eye. You got Ryan McMahon in there. You've got Cabra. What's his name? Cabrian Hayes of the Pirates.
Yeah, he was a guy that was really highly sought after, and you don't talk about him much this year.
Right. So, because you know what? He's one of those guys going to give you 15 home runs, drive in, like 70 runs and stuff like that. So But, if you don't have a third baseman late in the draft, you need a corner guy late in the draft. He's somebody you can take a peek at. Evan Longoria, a lot of people thought he would come back big, especially with the DH, but he's starting the year on the IL once again. He just had some hand surgery.
Always happens to him. Patrick Wisdom, another guy that hits for a lot of pop. So if you're looking just for a guy to hit home runs for you, definitely got to look out for.
And that one guy that's always has tricky numbers, and I love him just because of the heart that he showed back when he was crying. Wilmer Flores of the Giants. Again,
he's a 20 home run guy.
He's the guy that you're going to pick. Remember how I mentioned that that I always thought Catalanato was one of the first guys you pick up when your stars get hurt?
Absolutely.
Flores is one of those guys later on. When your star gets hurt and you need somebody to cover that position for a little while, somebody who's going to pop in there because he's going to put up some numbers by the end of the day.
Then you look at a guy that could play some is Smith over in Oakland, filling in for Chapman. He's a young guy that could really give you a little bit of pop. J.D. Davis, you just don't know how much he's going to play with the Mets.
Right.
But when he plays, he hits.
I'm trying to look. I don't know what position he plays. Which I should know, of course. Somebody that I'm keeping an eye out late in the draft, the kid from Oakland, Seth Beers.
I mean, I've heard a lot about him. I don't know enough about him, but I've heard.
That's one of the things. What do you do late in the draft? You're trying to fill out your bench. Do you take these young guys with so much promise and stash them, or do you let them pass you by? What do you do?
Well, the funny thing is that I've done both, right? I like taking the young guys, and then what happens, unfortunately, is all of a sudden I get the injury bug like crazy, and I'm forced to either play down a guy because he's not even up yet.
Right.
And I'm playing with a guy on my bench that can't even help me, or I have to drop him for a player just so I can field the third baseman at this point.
Right.
And it becomes a real challenge. I believe in trying to get the young guys as much as possible. It's just kind of fun to have them on your squad and see if you picked right and developed right. Mm-hmm. I kind of enjoy that. But then again, you got the guy that picked Verlander 24th, protects him this year with the last pick of the draft. There's something to be said about that. Same thing with Gino with LeMahieu. It's his last year he can keep him. He's still a 22, as a veteran guy. So, you can speak to both sides of it. When I picked up Tatis, I got him as a 12, before anybody knew who he was. So sometimes you get lucky with those guys too. And the guy that picked up Acuna, I think, was like a 17 the first year,
Right.
So, I mean, you can certainly get, very fortunate with the young guys. I think, unfortunately, though, we all sit there and study the scouting so much about these young guys that they go a little earlier than they should.
One of the guys that when I first started doing fantasy, I got burned on Maglio Ordonez, who actually was a decent player, but not at the very beginning, but there was a lot of promise. Gabe Kapler burned me because he had some good games, some good years. And of course, the infamous Josh Hamilton.
Yeah, no doubt.
Who burned a lot of people when they picked him first.
I got burned late in the draft with Mackenzie Gore last year for the Padres. He couldn't throw strikes. He never got up. I drafted him in like the 20s thinking, okay, he's a young lefty. He'll be on the rotation by May. Never really had a shot. So, and then all of a sudden you're holding on to him for a little bit. And then you're like, listen, my team has too many injuries, too many guys with COVID. I have to release Mackenzie Gore, who never really even made it to the team last year. So
right. So I want to quickly congratulate my son playing varsity baseball. Team won. I didn't take overtime so that I could be there for his game, and he got dry humped, getting up and down quite often. And then at the very last second, when they made a pitching change, they brought somebody else in.
And there we are. Maddie's still a young kid. He's going to get plenty of time playing on that varsity team.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just
a sophomore.
He's a sophomore, yeah.
Yeah, he's a sophomore on varsity.
Yeah,
they're going to treat him like crap. It's just the way it works.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens if he's supposed to play again tomorrow. So we'll see.
Thank God he didn't take after you with his athletic prowess.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, he's got some talent, unlike his father. I'm talentless.
No, I'm really proud. That's awesome to hear, though, Matty. That's great news.
Yeah, I'm proud of him as well,
absolutely, he's a good kid,
and his friends as well. There's a bunch of 10th graders who made the team this year. So,
and they won. You said, right?
What was that?
They won. You said, right?
They won. We beat our arch rival, Centeridge, bunch of douchebags early today. Because they were a bunch of big mouth punks. You can't be a big mouth punk unless you win.
That's just the way it goes. Now, what school does your son play for?
Newfield.
So the mighty Newfield knocks off the mighty Centeridge.
Well, Newfield was the Long Island champs in their conference last year. So
no doubt.
Looking to repeat, and we'll see what happens. It's only game one. But
absolutely.
I
mean, for us, listen, a lot of baseball coming on. We're going to try to do our draft, at least the first few rounds of it on Sunday Live. So you could hear us making fun of the other people in our league as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We won't bore you too badly, but we'll bore you some.
Yeah, like we do weekly.
That's pretty much what we bring to the table.
Yeah.
And outside of that, a lot of fun. The draft is always the best time of year for any of this type of stuff.
I am so pumped, dude. I can't wait.
We're gonna have a good time. Normally, again, we try to get away and get all together. This time, we're gonna do it local, but it's still a great time had by us. So
absolutely, you can check us out at where do you want us to check us out?
Check out Spotify, iTunes, any place that you can get podcasts.
Yeah, what he said, and
check us out on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yeah,
Fantasy Fat Guys _on Instagram, Fantasy Fat Guys Facebook page.
Yeah,
we post up a bunch of pictures and different things, and we'd love you to comment on them.
Please, I beg you. So, anyway, it looks like we have spoken for a long time, and we probably need to stop.
I agree with you on that. And next week, be sure to tune in for our actual baseball preview edition. We'll tell you what's going to happen in the entire league.
Yes, and we'll also do some of the over-unders if you want to bet.
Absolutely. We're here to help you gamble.
Yeah, and probably lose, but hey, what the hell?
But that's what we bring to the table.
And you know what we bring to the table? Our goodbye. Good night, Irene.
Good night, Irene.
That comes later.